China has told its businesses that it is illegal for them to lay off people simply for AI cost cutting. They are welcome to experiment with automation and even encouraged to continue to innovate, but they have to do it at their own cost and not at the cost of their society. This happened the same week that Meta announced that they're going to lay off 1/10 of their workforce because of AI costs, and that next year they're going to invest even more in AI. I was just in China with my partner, and I said to my partner, China's going to be a lot smarter with AI than we are. Because while China is known for more copying US inventions and then adapting them to make them way more efficient and cheaper, what they have that we don't is collectivistic values. China isn't doing this necessarily out of altruism. It's doing it because they know that there are consequences to a large part of society suffering. Consequences that American billionaires are only starting to realize that AI revolution and laying a bunch of people off could lead to even more political unrest, which I already made a video about this last month. Not only that, this call from China seems to make sense with the data that we are seeing so far. The latest global workforce report from Gallup shows that what matters most with AI is manager involvement and articulating tasks and how AI should be used. This leads to more AI adoption and better uses of AI. We are not yet seeing across reports from different centers looking at different data sets that AI is ready to run completely by itself. Deloitte's recent report said that their AI actually takes longer to see a return on investment than technology normally does, even though AI is developing so much faster. And Project Nanda report that went viral last year showing that only 5% of AI had an ROI. Part of that is because we're in the early stages of it, but part of it is also because AI that is adapted without, as this article is talking about, friction to be able to learn and correct itself. The original report that went viral also showed that AI that is kept in a silo and isn't holistic and doesn't still have an integrative approach, which involves humans who know how the whole organization works, is set up to fail. In my book, I talked about how AI does not make your culture go away. It doesn't make the unwritten rules go away. It just amplifies what is already there, good and bad. If a key component of AI is managers, and your managers already don't know how to translate between impact that the executives care about and what happens at the staff level, then AI is not going to fix that. That's what the Gallup report is telling us. In cases that MIT has shown us of companies building these AI systems and then throwing them out without any feedback, which I call the unwritten rule of compliance, they see massive loss of ROI. And that's not because of AI. That's because in your culture of no feedback, of people not being able to speak up, your AI is not going to do that if that's what you don't want it to do. And ultimately, I think a lot of us are seeing that AI is not as cheap as I thought it would be. It was promised as this thing that's going to have a huge return on investment because you're not going to have to pay people to work, which again, there are costs to that. But we're seeing how expensive this is. And really as a social class researcher, another concern I have is that this isn't actually going to be cheaper for companies. This is just going to take the money that was already not equally distributed to the workforce, far from equal, and it's just going to be in the hands of a few AI companies, which is what some of the billionaires are starting to realize. So we will see how this plays out in China and how this compares to what's going on in the States. But I have to say, even as an American business owner, with what the data is showing and what historically we have seen with drastic levels of economic inequality, I do think in this case, China is making the smarter call. And I know a lot of y'all aren't going to like to hear that because we have this binary in the US of China bad, US good. And I'm not really interested in engaging in any of those dialogues on here, I'll be honest with you. But one thing I can tell you for sure is I'm tired of hearing people be afraid of China and how they're going to surpass the US while undermining education and laying off tons of people for a tool that the data is showing still needs human guidance. And as a class researcher looking at unwritten rules of social class, these unwritten rules have an organizational impact, not only an individual one, though they do as well. And automating it is going to show where the problems are in your culture very quickly. And we do have a choice. We don't have to just not adapt to new technology at all, or throw the baby out with the bathwater and cause major social unrest and screw up your business because you threw out the experts. In my book, I give examples of how things like the unwritten rule of compliance, not letting people disagree, penalizing people for having new ideas, has drastically negatively impacted several companies. That on automation isn't going to change anything.